Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Decoding with Cody. Thanks for tuning in today. I just got a quick video for you guys about the bizarre events that have been happening in the last couple of weeks. And if you guys didn't hear, there was this bridge collision, and this is what I mainly want to cover in this short video. But of course, most of you guys know there was this Kuaka Matak Brooklyn Bridge collision. I don't even know how to say that word, but this Mexican ship ran into the Brooklyn Bridge. And I'm going to connect this to, well, firstly, going to connect this to Pope Francis and Pope Leo. And then we're going to talk about the World War III connection. So this isn't going to take too long, but please hit the like buttons if you guys enjoy the info, and let's get into it. So when Pope Leo took office, the first thing he mentioned was building bridges, okay? And he mentioned that in his opening speech. Now, remember, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed on March 26, 2024. And, of course, Francis, right, like Pope Francis, and Robert Francis Prevost, who is the new pope. So both these popes have Francis in their name, right? Pope Francis, and the new pope is Robert Francis Prevost. That was his original name. Now, the pope is the pontiff, and that means bridge builder. And so when Pope Leo came out and started talking about building bridges, this immediately connected us to the Francis Scott Key Bridge, okay? Now, on the day that Pope Leo is inaugurated, you have another bridge incident, but this time the bridge did not collapse. The ship that ran into the bridge was not big enough to collapse the bridge, okay? So this is telling us a story here. This represented Pope Francis. He was weak and fragile and old, so he collapsed, right? But the new bridge collision, which happened on the day that Pope Leo was inaugurated, references the strength and the youthfulness of Pope Leo, and which pretty much solidifying him as the new pope, okay? That's what I see here. The collapse of Francis Scott Key references the eventual collapse of Pope Francis. Remember, this bridge collapse happened well before Pope Francis died. But then, on the same day, you get the perfect story in the news of another bridge collision. But this time, the bridge did not collapse, because this represents the endurance of the new pope who was being inaugurated on that same day, okay? Now, here's where it gets crazy, because Pope Leo, the new pope, his father was a United States Navy veteran, okay? So think about that. A United States Navy veteran of World War II, okay? This is important because the ship that hit the bridge the day he was inaugurated was a Navy ship, except for this time it was a Mexican Navy ship. And one of the two people who died on the ship was named America, okay? So anyway, the Pope's inaugurated the same day the bridge gets hit. The ship that hits the bridge is a Navy ship, and Pope Leo's father was a World War II Navy veteran, okay? So this is clearly the riddle of why you have the story of a Navy ship hitting a bridge on the day of the new Pope being inaugurated. Okay, remember, he's the first American Pope as well. This bridge collision happened in America. So not only is this connected to the Francis Scott Key and the inauguration and the bridge collapse, it's connected to the Navy, okay, the water. Now, here's just an interesting number. This isn't the most important part of this decode, but from the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge to the collision of the Brooklyn Bridge was exactly 418 days. Well, if you type in the name of the bridge collapse on Wikipedia, the Cuauhtémoc Brooklyn Bridge collision is what they call it. It equals 516. Well, 516 is the 418th composite number, which again is the amount of days between the two bridge collapses, okay? Or the two bridge incidents. So I don't think that's a coincidence. But this isn't the most important part of the slide. This is just an interesting numerical code that seems to be between these. And don't forget, guys, the 418 is also hugely tied to the Book of the Law, Aleister Crowley. I'm not going to get into that here, but the 418 is definitely big in terms of occult, right? But here's what I really want to get into. So you guys remember 2 days before the bridge collision in Brooklyn, this bizarre story came out about James Comey finding the numbers 8647 in the sand, right? And remember, James Comey posted that post exactly 8647 days after 9/11. Okay, so this is where the 9/11 connection is going to start. But what are the chances of this, guys? Comey posts the number 8647 on a beach, and a beach is tied to the ocean where the ships go, okay? And what's even more bizarre is the Brooklyn Bridge is connected to a road called FDR Drive. And the next book that James Comey is about ready to release on May 20th is called FDR Drive. And notice how FDR Drive equals 516 in Sumerian, just like I showed you in reverse. The bridge collision, the full bridge collision title equals 516, which is the same gematria as FDR Drive. So what are the chances again, guys? He posts this picture 2 days before this collision, and it's 8647, which connects us to 9/11. 9/11 to the day he posts this, 8647 days. But his new book that's coming out is literally called FDR Drive, and there's no more bridge connected to the FDR Drive than the Brooklyn Bridge. And now this ship, 2 days later, runs into the bridge. And again, the Brooklyn Bridge is literally connected to FDR Drive. And now James Comey is releasing a book called FDR Drive. Not to mention, in the book, he's mentioning terrorism. And remember what happened on 9/11, okay? So this is just too perfect, guys. Too perfect to be a coincidence. Now, connecting back to 9/11, okay? This is where this gets crazy. We're going to connect this to 9/11 and World War II and World War III, okay? So the Twin Towers were 110 stories tall, right? Remember, I told you James Comey posted this picture 8647 days after 9/11. It connects to this bridge collision 2 days later, okay? So the World Trade Centers were 110 stories, okay? Now, the guy who supposedly ran his plane into the building is Osama bin Laden, which equals 110, okay? Now, the ship that supposedly ran into the bridge, the Kuwait Omak, equals 110, okay? Just like Osama bin Laden. Now, again, this happened in Brooklyn, which is in New York, which is the same place that the 110-story World Trade Center happened. This happened on the date 17/5. Remember Flight 175, right? But this is not a coincidence, guys. This ship is clearly tied to 9/11 and this whole riddle, okay? That's why the gematria proves it, okay? Now, look at this. World War II was essentially started and all about this man, Adolf Hitler, okay? He equals 110, like Osama bin Laden, okay? And these two, and again, he equals 110 in the same cipher as the ship that ran into the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, Adolf Hitler is connected to World War II. So what is the chances that this ship that ran into the bridge was launched on the anniversary of World War II, 9/1/1982? Remember, the World War II started on 9/1/1939. So again, what are the chances? The ship equals Adolf Hitler, and Adolf Hitler connected to World War II. The ship was literally launched on the anniversary of World War II starting. Okay? So this, again, solidifies our riddle with World War II. And again, it has the same gematria as all these things. And this connects us to 9/11, right? But here's where you got to know how the 110 connects to the 156, okay? So the ship that hit the bridge is a Mexican ship, right? And in Mexico, there is a group of people called the Pamia language, which uses an octal counting system. And this is important because we've talked about this system before on this channel, the octal or base 8 system. The base 8 system is basically just a base, instead of a base 10 decimal system, it's a base 8 number system, okay? So in the base 8 system, you can translate the number from base 10 to base 8, right? But in the system, guys, the number 110 in decimal translates to number 156 in base 8. And remember, I told you that this actually connects to this narrative because in Mexico, where the ship was from, there is a group of people that use the base 8 system, okay, of counting right here. The Pamia language in Mexico also has an octal system because they don't speak, they count on their knuckles of a closed fist instead of their hands, okay? So that's interesting. But the point here is the 110 translating from base 10 to base 8 equals 156. Now, how does that tie into all of this? That's because the ship equals 110, and if you translate the 110 and from base 10 to base 8, it equals 156. And from the launch of the ship, the first day it launched on the anniversary of World War II, to the day it hit the bridge on May 17, 2025, exactly 15600 days, which is the exact number that I'm showing you here. So the ship equals 110. You translate the 110, like the Mexican group that uses the base 8, you translate that to base 8, it equals 156, which is the number of days this ship was sailing before it hit the bridge. I mean, how improbable. On top of that, that 156 is connected to 9/11 because 9/11, the number, is the 156 prime number. So this number hit the bridge 156 days after it was launched, and 9/11 is the 156 prime, 15600 days. The name of the ship translates to 156 in base 8, okay? So this is too perfect, guys. And this, I started out by making this connection with the 110, which translates to 156. 9/11 is the 156 prime. The towers on 9/11 were 110 stories tall, okay? It all connects together perfectly, all right? And that's why this is connected to World War III. I believe this is another signal for an eventual more outbreak of a world war. Why is that? Because just next month, guys, just 4 weeks after this ship hits the bridge, there is a countdown timer on the time and date site, which states that we have 4 weeks until the 15th of June when World War III will start. Now, I'm not saying it's going to start on this day, guys. I'm just saying that the day they give us is the date 15/6. And this is our same number again, guys, 15/6. This is the number I just showed you here. This is how old the ship was from its launch to the day it hit the bridge, 156, 9/11, the 156. The ship's name translates to 110, which translates to 156 in base 8. But now they give us the date of World War III for 15/6, 156. And what does World War III equal in Gematria? 156, the exact same. So you're telling me that the ship was inaugurated on World War II, and it was going for 15600 days before it hit the bridge, and this connects us to the gematria of World War III, which equals 156. And the date they currently have on the date and time for the countdown to World War III is the same digits, 156. This is improbable, okay? Now look at this. The ship was supposedly coming from Acapulco, Mexico, which equals World War III in 2 ciphers, guys. So not only all this connections, but also the place the ship left from equals World War III in 2 ciphers. And remember, guys, all the world wars started on 68 date numerology. World War I, July 28, 1914, 7 plus 28 plus 19 plus 14 equals 68. World War II was September 1st, 1939. Again, the ship was inaugurated on the anniversary of World War II. But you guys get the gist. All the date numerologies of all the wars started on, including the Ukraine and Russia war, started on 68 date numerology. The day after the bridge collision with this ship was 68 date numerology. And that was the day the Pope was inaugurated. Okay. So the Pope was inaugurated just after this ship hit the bridge. This was on 68 date numerology, May 18th. And this connects to all the world wars, which were also on 68 date numerology. Okay. Another interesting thing is the bridge. They called this a Mexican Navy ship, which equals order out of chaos in all ciphers. And what's more order out of chaos than a world war? Okay. So order out of chaos equals Mexican Navy ship in all ciphers. And that's all I really got, guys. I mean, the point here is that from the ship being launched on the anniversary of World War II to it hitting the bridge was 156. And 156 is not only 9/11 is not only the 156 prime, but World War III equals 156. And again, this is important because the day the ship launched was the anniversary of the last World War. And now it's almost like signaling with the 156 and the 9/11 that the next World War is upon us very soon. I'm not predicting a date. I'm just telling you it seems to be upon us. Okay? This is very interesting. So we'll see what happens, but I've brought up this timer multiple times on the channel, but we only have 4 weeks left. And this kind of reminds me of the 28 Days Later movies. They're getting ready to release another movie called 28 Years Later. 4 weeks is 28 days. Remember in Donnie Darko, it's 28 days. So I'm just wondering, why did this ship hit the bridge pretty much 28 days before this countdown timer of World War III is supposed to tick off? Okay, so we'll see what happens, but I just needed to share all this info, guys. I wanted to do a lot more, but I've been distracted and busy, so this is all you guys get for now. I'll be back with a live stream very soon, but until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit your like buttons on the way out if you would, and thank you guys so much. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.